So is it time for Democrats to fully admit that the end is nigh and we need new blood at the top of the party? When I say we, I mean them. And I'm not talking about a transfusion or a blood boy, although that does sound sexy. The party panel is here to discuss. We've got conservative strategist and Z-Lab's vice president of PR and human events. He's also a lovely contributor of The World. His name is Chris Barron. Hi, Chris. Hi. I don't know why I said hi to him. Normally I just introduce everybody. I'm going to keep doing that. We've got Democrat strategist and former Biden campaign surrogate. I'll introduce myself to him anytime. It's Kevin Walling. There he is.
Right back at you.
So handsome. And you love everything about everything he has to say, so much so you want him to be your next president. He is the host of the Part of the Problem podcast. It is Dave Smith. Welcome, gentlemen, to this all-important man panel. So, Chris, are they just starting to realize it now, or are Democrats vocalizing this because they really want to get the president off the top of the ticket? They don't want her on there either.
Well, I mean, look, the reality is that according to every opinion poll I've looked at, overwhelming majorities of Democrats don't want Biden to run for re-election. And the reality is because they see with their own eyes exactly what everybody else in the country is seeing. And they know it's not normal. They know the confusion's not normal. They know it's not normal for the president to be that lost. By the way, frankly, I'm a little sad we didn't get the Manchurian candidate I thought we were getting, because then at least somebody would be in charge. The fact is we have got a rudderless White House, and the results have been absolutely devastating for the country. And so when they say judge him on his performance and not his age, that's not a good look. The two of them are absolutely connected. The age is an issue. His confusion, his lack of mental stamina is an issue, and we're seeing it in the results.
Yeah, but Kevin, there are plenty of 79-year-olds who are spry and competent. They've got wherewithal and drive and stamina, and they can stay up past 4 in the afternoon. Unfortunately, our president is not one of them. So what's the solution here?
Well, listen, Kennedy, I would disagree. I've seen the president up close.
No, you're not disagreeing.
Come on, folks.
Nope,
I've seen the president up close and personal in the last week, Kennedy, and working a rope line for 3 hours. I think he absolutely has the stamina. Now, it will be up to him and his family whether he runs for re-election. The election is 840 days away. I'm more focused on the election in front of us, to be clear. And then we can talk about whether we want, a Donald Trump at 79 and a Joe Biden at 81 to run for the highest office in the land.
No, we don't.
Sure.
And 800 and however many days you said is so far away. My God, I don't know. You said, oh, I saw him this week. He looks great. No, he doesn't. He looks tired and confused, and he says things he doesn't mean.
I saw him in person.
I'm really glad you did. I hope you gave him a hug and tucked him in with a little graham cracker at 5:15 p.m. because that's what he needs. He needs rest because he's tired. He's an older fella who needs to look back on his storied career and say, attaboy. But, what do we do now, Dave? Because it is a threat to everything.
Yeah, it's a very interesting predicament because it's going to be difficult. It seems like Joe Biden really wants to run and his party really doesn't want him to. And the truth is that nobody is really judging him off of his age in terms of the number. And that, look, I don't want to see Donald Trump run again, but there's a reason why people don't constantly bring up Donald Trump's age, because he does not seem to be having a real problem with that. There are other problems with him, but I'm sorry. I mean, Kevin, you must be in denial about this. Like, come on. What is this, the Emperor's New Clothes or something? Are we going to pretend the guy goes to shake hands? He goes to shake hands of people who aren't there. He falls off still bikes. He can't remember names and places. Almost every single speech, he has trouble remembering what he's supposed to say. This is like, it's unbelievable to me that the Democrats finally are starting to acknowledge this. This was obvious to all of us as Kennedy said, in 2019. Go look at a speech. Joe Biden, by the way, was never an impressive intellect, but go look at a speech of Joe Biden's from 15 years ago. Honestly, go look at one and go look at what he sounds like today. He's a completely different man. He's lost more than a step.
Yeah, go look at a speech of his from 2.5 years ago. He's going to get more than 2.5 years worse than that because now the decline, unfortunately, it is exponential. It's not geometric. So if you think the White House is full of malarkey, get a load of this. Oh, there she is. It's Congresswoman AOC. Oh, she handcuffed you guys? She handcuffed? Actually, she's not. She's a big, unserious attention whore. That's after a Roe v. Wade protest at the Supreme Court this morning. It was fake. She was kind of under arrest, but she was not handcuffed. She raises her fist in the air and then puts it behind her back again in her invisible handcuffs. One of 16 Congress members arrested for blocking traffic. Both AOC and fellow squad member Ilhan Omar, no word on whether daddy husband brother was there. They were escorted out of the road. None of the members were put in handcuffs. They only face a small fine. If anything, why can't they stop being so dramatic, Chris? Is that too much to ask?
Because they can't. No, but this is why it is hard to take them seriously when they talk about any of these issues, because these are deeply unserious people at their base, at their core. These are not serious people. By the way, maybe in AOC's defense, you know how Wonder Woman had the invisible airplane?
Yes.
Maybe the cops have employed some like new technology, invisible handcuffs, and her and Ilhan Omar, who, by the way, Ilhan Omar also pretended to get handcuffed. AOC's taken all the heat here, but yeah. Ilhan Omar did the same. Maybe it was secret technology, Wonder Woman, invisible handcuffs here.
Yeah, but it's like, just do this, so it'll be so much better, and everyone will just think you're fighting the man. Kevin, this is not the way to fight something you vehemently disagree with. You and I both know that.
Well, it raises attention. I wish we were talking more about why they were there protesting in the outset in terms of what the Supreme Court did, reversing 50 years of a right that women have had access to in this country. Now, this whole debate over whether she was handcuffed or not is certainly a distraction. I think it's somewhat comical, obviously, but what is not comical is the demise of Roe, which will not just be a serious issue in the election in the fall, but a serious issue for women around this country.
Okay, so maybe if it's not serious, Kevin, you do something that is a little less phony baloney and mockable. Is that too much to ask? People have protested at the Supreme Court and the Congress going back 250 years and been arrested to draw attention to a particular issue. Yeah.
Now, she had her hands behind her back for 4 seconds before she raised her fist, and that's what we're talking about, and not about the demise of Roe. Yeah, I mean, maybe she was coached to do that in terms of how you interact with an officer or what have you.
Let me break it down for you. Just a little branding tip. If people are mocking you for your actions instead of talking about the issue, you have failed. She has failed. Dave?
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem very bizarre that they both had their hands behind their back, but then at the same time, why would you lift up and give a fist? I just don't understand what was happening there. I do think that with a lot of these stunts, and even with the kind of argument or point assertion that Kevin just laid out, I think that one of the real problems that the pro-choice crowd has is that, as I've said on this show before and lots of other ones, they never seem to actually want to take on the argument that pro-lifers are presenting. And you can just say this is a constitutional right, even though it's nowhere in the Constitution. Yeah. Okay. You can say it's a right. You can say they want to control women's bodies or something. But look, yes, right. Well, he alluded to it, right? But the pro-life argument is that killing a baby inside of the womb is morally indistinguishable from killing a baby outside of the womb. And none of them seem to be prepared to actually take on that argument with a counter. They can find extreme circumstances, which most people believe usually should be exemptions. They can claim that it's a right, but it seems like the pro-choicers never really want to take that on. And my suspicion is because there's not a great counter argument to it.
No, they just want to soften it, Kevin, and say, it's about health care. It's about reproductive care. No,
reproductive
it's not. Actually,
rights,
no, and I may disagree with Dave whether or not it should be a choice between a woman and her doctor. But what I don't disagree with him about is it's an incredibly serious act. It is not something to mock. It is not something to, fan about like a tardy nonsense jerkhead. Yeah, sorry to use such foul language, Kevin, but it's incredibly serious. You are talking about the death of a thing. You know, whether or not you think that thing is implicitly a part of a woman's body, that thing will no longer exist after the act. And that has to be acknowledged on some point if we are going to have a serious argument about it. Last word, Kevin. And don't worry, I'll get to you a lot in the next segment, Chris.
Listen, there's been pro-life and pro-choice protests like this that we've seen at the Supreme Court going back before Roe. I hate that this has become a distraction in this debate because it's worth much more than what we're having tonight in terms of the pettiness of that moment.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of heavy pettiness, the Man panel is going to stick around. Coming up, some major developments